The red zone starts at about 190,000 here, okay, and it goes all the way up to 300,000. So the model sort of says, well, historically, using historical numbers, we're kind of like somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000. That's going to be the peak for this red.
Bitcoin is heading for a major breakout, with predictions pointing to a potential peak between $200,000 and $300,000, according to mathematician and Wall Street veteran Fred Krueger. The Plan C model shows Bitcoin is in the yellow zone, a stage that often precedes explosive growth. The next target is the red zone, starting at $190,000, which has historically sparked significant momentum. With growing adoption and institutional interest, Bitcoin is poised for another historic run. Stay tuned for more insights from Fred Krueger on Bitcoin's future. Don't forget to subscribe for the latest finance updates.
So this is the original power law by Giovanni, and that Giovanni posted. And he sort of said he noticed this relationship in 2013. He sort of started talking about it in 2018, and then he stopped talking about it in 2020. And he noticed that basically, if you plot the Bitcoin price in log terms and you regress it against the days or years since the Genesis block, you get a pretty good fit, 95% correlation fit. And so, this gives you two things. One is it gives you a long-term trend line as to where we're going in the next 10, 20 years, maybe 20 years. And it also gives you a support line, right? And this is the support line and this resistance line. They're really almost like connect the dots lines. In other words, we'll choose a power law that more or less matches the support or the resistance. Okay, so that was where we were with Giovanni, and that was sort of state of the art, really, a little bit about a year ago. But this thing have some questions, right? Which is, how close are we to the top, or how close are we to the bottom, right? And when you ask these questions, you need to kind of say, in what sense are we close to the top, right? So, so if you go back to, I'm going to show you this line. This is a really great sort of visual chart that my friend Matteo Pellegrini put together. And he said, look, if you look at the support line of the power law, really that's kind of where Bitcoin maxis say the market really is, right? That's the true market, right? And then you have these kind of peaks, and these things are speculators, gamblers, traders, newbies, and degens, right? So, and by the way, this is all again in log space. So you might think, well, maybe that's 2017. No. 2017 is here, right? This is 2021. This is 2017. This is 2013. That's 2011, right? So it's a little unintuitive when you look at it this way. But now the question is, can we do better than this? Can we kind of figure out if we're close to the top or not, right? And I would argue, yes, we can. And Plan C put together this great model, and you can follow them under the real Plan C. And there's a lot to unpack here. So what does he have? He's got these 4 bands, right? This band here is the 95% zone, this red one, right? And he has sort of a 99% band zone as well, right? But he also has kind of this support line, which is sort of the bottom 5%. And then he has the 5 to 50% range here, right? So these are these quantile ranges. And here he's plotted it not in log space, but in regular space. So now we have this arc model. So I love this prediction, this way of visualizing the data. Now, you also have here, so where are we right now? Well, we're at 106. We're a little higher. We're in the yellow area, right? But you know, it really there's a bunch of stuff that this tells you, right? It doesn't tell you when we're going to get to the red zone, but it tells you if we do get to the red zone, we're probably not going to stay there for long, right? So the red zone is the top 5% of the data. So by definition, what it means is, it doesn't mean we're not going to get there. We're going to get there. We will probably get to the red zone, right? But we're not going to stay in the red zone really more than 5% of the time, which is, literally, 2 weeks, right? So we'll get there. We do a quick trip there and we leave. So that's kind of the analysis. So what does this tell you? I think it tells you that if we get, first of all, let's look at what these numbers are. Well, again, the model is not time predictive. It doesn't tell you for sure we're going to get to the red zone even in 2025, right? If we do, right, the red zone starts at about 190,000 here, okay, and it goes all the way up to 300,000. So the model sort of says, well, historically, using historical numbers, we're kind of like somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000. That's going to be the peak for this red zone.
Trump's plan to explore a U.S. cryptocurrency stockpile could prompt central banks to buy Bitcoin. Jeffrey Kendrick from Standard Chartered suggests that if the U.S. holds on to its 270,000 Bitcoin and signals future purchases, other countries might follow. The Czech National Bank is already considering adding 5% of its reserves to Bitcoin, while Switzerland is pushing for a national vote to include Bitcoin in its reserves. If central banks start accumulating Bitcoin, it could spark massive institutional demand and significantly boost its value. Now let's hear more from Fred Krueger.
I just want to conclude a little bit with kind of what I think is happening in crypto these days, right? And up until 5 days ago, if you go back to my feed even 2 weeks ago, I was sort of sitting there saying, listen, guys, you have to dump every other coin you ever had, and you can't this is a Bitcoin only world. Bitcoin's going to dominate other cryptocurrencies. All other cryptocurrencies will go to zero against Bitcoin. And by the way, I more or less still believe that, right? I do think it's going to be very, very hard competing with Bitcoin over the long haul, right? But having said that, to me, things changed on January 20th, 10 days ago. What changed, or 11 days ago, what changed is that Trump launched his own meme coin. And that really, to me, is a fundamental difference. And what does that mean? That means Trump's effectively a crypto president, right? So whether you like it or not, right? Whether you like it or not, we're not going to be entering a Bitcoin only world. That's just not the way things are going down right now. We're going to be entering a world that is filled with all kinds of cryptocurrencies. And this was like a major shift in my kind of view. It took the maxi community getting all so angry at me over this stupid coin to kind of jar me into thinking about it. But, it was coming because of the Trump coin. There was something in that coin that just sparked, like, wait a second, this is, we're not in Kansas anymore, So what do I think is going to happen? I think if you watch the video with Chris Dixon and Laura Shin, to me, that video is going to go down. It's going to go down in history as the beginning of Web3, right? Because I really think, Web3 did not look like a good idea It did not look like a good idea a year or two ago. People looked like that was a failure. It never worked. It can't work. People are never going to use crypto. We are never going to use crypto as a means of exchange. And I think with this new administration, in fact, we are going to use crypto as a means of exchange. Okay, so how's that going to work? What's going to happen? Are we going to go back to ICOs of 2017? They're all going to be crappy? Well, no. And the reason is this, is we are going to see some new legislation, right? And the most important new legislation is not going to be the Bitcoin reserve. The most important new legislation is going to be the stablecoin bill. Now, why is the stablecoin bill going to be so important? It's going to be so important because, well, stablecoin bill and SAB 121 repeal, right, which already happened. It's going to be important because all of a sudden banks can now legally custody stablecoins. What that means is Bank of America, you have a checking account at Bank of America, you have 10 grand on your checking account. Bank of America could allow you to withdraw or deposit potentially USDC into that account, right? So we have a clear movement in and out of bank accounts between stable coins and the bank. And I think if you think about it, that's going to be profound.
Trump's shift into crypto has reshaped the landscape. Once a Bitcoin-only advocate, Fred Krueger now sees a future where multiple cryptocurrencies thrive under a pro-crypto administration. He believes the stablecoin bill and SAB 121 repeal will have a greater impact than a Bitcoin reserve, enabling banks to custody stablecoins and integrate them into traditional banking. This could lead to seamless fiat-to-crypto movement, marking the true beginning of Web3 and mass adoption. Stay updated on the latest in crypto and Bitcoin. Subscribe now for expert insights and join the Millionaire Pathway.